God bless you guys. This is a very unofficial video, you can say. So it's not an actual episode on a specific topic or anything, but more so just an announcement or a reset, kind of just of expectations, like what to expect right from Let's Talk About It. So recently, last week, I remember I was just thinking about like what I was going to talk about next. My last series, right, on the role of the husband, the wife. I was very into that. I was very excited to talk about that in those episodes. And then, right, I thinking of the season, right, of gratitude and everything. My next episode was a testimony. And I remember trying to kind of think about like what's next. I'm a big planner, so I'm always trying to think ahead, right? And I know I have this like long list of topics, right, but nothing's necessarily speaking at me. And I remember looking at it, right, and thinking, well, what's going to catch people's attention? What's going to be interesting to them? What's something that might be popular to talk about? And I remember trying to think of like topics that were not so much just kind of directed towards people that are part of the faith, right? That it wasn't just based on the Bible, and just thinking more like regular topics, right? That might overline a little bit, but that weren't solely based on that. And I was confronted, right? And I had to kind of pause and realize and think back to my why. Why did I start Let's Talk About It to begin with, right? And I remember like this summary, right, that I have like for the description of my channel on YouTube. And I remember when I had to meditate on like my why, I went all the way back. I went back to maybe more than a year ago when God put this idea, right, and this desire in my heart. And I necessarily didn't feel equipped to act on it, so I didn't for a very, very long time. I felt like Moses a little bit, so I had a lot of if, ands, and buts. I was just like, nobody cares about this. Like, nobody wants to hear me. Like, who am I? You know, like, I don't have a big following. I am not popular by any means in any circle. I actually keep very much to myself. My friend circle is so small. Yeah, I don't have a big platform on social media or anything like that. So, you know, I was a little bit like, I guess just, I didn't feel like, I was just like, who the heck am I, right, to have like a channel and stuff? Like, who wants to hear anything that I have to say? Like, it's honest to God, like that was just my thoughts, and it stopped me for a very long time from pursuing this. But I remember, you know, God really challenged me to just take a leap of faith, right? And that the curiosity that I always had, right, for things that are not covered specifically in the church, right? Because that's a big part of my channel, is talking about things that nobody wants to talk about. And not just in Christianity, right? But in general, like motherhood, parenthood, relationships, right? Because I'm married. And yeah, just different roles and hats and areas, things that I can relate to, right? Like providing not just my perspective, but also just shedding light on certain things that I feel like are not necessarily talked about. You guys have seen some of my topics, right? Sex before marriage, mental health, flawed restoration, just a lot of things that are like issues, right, that we're going through, you know, maybe in general as Christians, and nobody really tends to talk about it. Like, you don't really hear them spoken about in church. So I wanted to have a platform where I can talk about those things, right? And hopefully by more people talking about it and shedding light on it, like we are able to bridge that gap that is there. And I had to think back to that why, right? Like, this is something God placed in my heart, and I cannot take away from a big part of my life, which is God. I can't take a big part of that away. Like, I just can't. I feel like I've been trying to relate, right, to more people, right? Maybe for my videos and my talks and my episodes to be relatable to pretty much almost anybody, because it is my desire. Like, that's just me. I love to include everybody. I don't ever want people to feel left out in any capacity, right? But what I realized is, here I am trying to think about like what's popular, what's going to be interesting, and trying to like steer away from more biblical things and steer away from just talking about things that may just be interesting to people that are part of the Christian faith. And I was confronted, right, that kind of defeats the purpose, right? God called me to do this channel, right? And a big part of it, right? Yes, there will be some topics like mental health. That's very general, right? Motherhood, struggling to love yourself. That's also very general, that a lot of people could relate to. whether you're Christian or not Christian, but a big part of I am a Christian, like I am a believer in God. So a big part of a lot of my topics, right, are talking about those taboo things we don't discuss in the church. So they are going to be more for the people that are, also Christian and, are in part of the same faith. So I feel like I've had to recenter, right? So I just wanted to put that out there so that nobody's expecting anything a little different, or even if I myself set the wrong expectations. I think God has definitely kind of, pulled my ears on this one, right? And it just allowed me to just look back, right? And realize that this is not about popularity. This is not about a million people watching it. It's not about appeasing people, and it's not about necessarily making, like, everybody's welcome to watch it, right? But it's not going to necessarily relate to everyone, right? And that's okay. I think that God is specifically calling me, right, to speak to a lot of people within the faith, and maybe even to reach those people that are on the verge, right? Maybe they necessarily don't call themselves believers, but they're kind of on the verge there, right? May not as this church, but they do believe in God. Those people that are maybe just curious, right? So I think that that is pretty much where my focus is going to continue to be. I feel like I was kind of going against the current and really trying to just more general topics. I was looking through like all my videos and I'm like, oh, a lot of them, are biblical based. And I feel like that is more where, like, every time I think of a topic, it's related to like Bible. And I think that God doesn't do things just coincidentally by mistake. Like, he's a purposeful God. And I think just in the personal direction that he's taking my life with, is digging deeper into his word. He's also lining up my channel, my topics of discussion, my episodes, to line up with that, with his word, right? So I just wanted to put that out there, right? I'm recentering, refixing my focus on what actually matters, right? And at the end of the day, I want this channel to glorify God. I want everything that I do with my life to glorify God. And hey, that means my topics, right? I will probably speak a lot more Bible. I will probably be speaking a lot more about God. And I'm okay with that, right? And I hope that you guys are. I hope that you guys embrace that and can welcome it with open arms and continue to tune in, right? Because a lot of times, right, God has something he wants to tell you. And maybe you don't go to church, right? Maybe you're not going to sit and listen to an hour and a half sermon. Maybe you're not the type of person that's going to go online and listen to a sermon. But hey, maybe you visited my channel and you might listen to me. So it is through people like me, through people like you, through anyone really that God can use to talk to you and to bless your life. So stay tuned as God continues to talk to all of us, right? Because every time I do an episode, guys, it's not just giving. I'm definitely receiving from the Lord as well. So God bless you guys. Thank you guys so much for your infinite support. And most of all glory always to God for allowing me, right, this opportunity to reach lives, right, to spread the gospel, to share his word, to talk about things that we don't often hear about. And again, for his name, giving me an opportunity for his name to be glorified and allowing him to recenter me. Like, that's okay. Sometimes we're just getting a little bit off track. It's great when we can be sensitive to the Holy Spirit, right, and get back on track. So thank you guys again. Love you. God bless you.